This bone is the pelvis, and this is going to be the lateral view with cranial on the left. The pelvis is made up of 3 parts: the ilium, the ischium, and the pubis, which is L-shaped. On the ilium is the tuber coccyx and tuber sacral. Ischiatic tuberosity, gluteal surface is here, and on the inside we have this whole thing called the sacropelvic surface, and the rough portion is the auricular surface, which will be in contact with the auricular surface of the sacrum. Now, if you take a train called the arcuate line, that will take you to the iliopubic eminence here, which we'll identify later. Back to the lateral view, this is the greater ischiatic notch, lesser ischiatic notch, and this is the ischiatic spine in between. Ventral view, obturator foramen. They're like the eye holes of this pelvic face mask. This whole thing is the acetabulum with an acetabular fossa inside. Back to ventral view, this is the ischiatic arch. Iliopubic eminence. Take a train called the pecten to get to the pubic tubercle in the middle right here, and down the midline is the symphysis pelvis. This is the femur, and it is the caudal view. Turning it around to the cranial view, we can see the trochlea. So that's how we can tell apart the caudal from cranial. This is cranial with the trochlea, and this is caudal with these 2 condyles at the bottom. And it's what we would see with this cat in the background, the MMI stress cat, currently positioned facing forward. And the head is always on the medial side, so this must be the left femur. So this is the greater trochanter, lesser trochanter, and the train that takes us from greater to lesser is the intertrochanteric crest, trochanteric fossa, head. The head is always going to be medial on the femur, and the little divot on the head is the fovea right here. And another word about the head, because it's always medial, it's going to help us find our medial condyle, because it's going to be on the same side as the head but on the distal aspect. Underneath the head is the neck, body. This is the trochlea. We're looking at it from a cranial view. And when we go back to caudal view, lateral condyle, medial condyle. Sesamoid bones, not depicted here, but they'd be above the condyles. In between the condyles is an intercondylar fossa, and the triangular area above that is the popliteal surface. The next bone is the tibia. This is a 360-degree view of the tibia. If the cat in the back is facing forward, we should see the bone like this. So this is the caudal view. That is the lateral condyle on the left. On the right is the medial condyle. And we know that because if we look down and see the medial malleolus, they're both medial, so they're both on the same side. In between is the intercondylar eminence. Go to the cranial view to see the tibial tuberosity. And the extensor groove is between the lateral condyle and the tibial tuberosity. Underneath tibial tuberosity is the cranial border. Going back to the caudal view, that's the medial malleolus. And you move to the ventral view, like so, in order to see the tibial cochlea. So after the tibia, we have the fibula, which is pretty simple. It has two sides. The one that kind of looks like a chicken head is going to be the head of the fibula, and the other side is going to be the lateral malleolus, and that makes sense because the fibula is lateral to the tibia. Moving on to the tarsal bones now, the first two most proximal ones being the talus on the left and the calcaneus on the right. This is the talus, it's on the medial side and consists of a proximal trochlea with two lips and a distal trochlea. And because it's medial, it will be above the central tarsal bone. This on the right is the calcaneus, it's lateral to the talus, and where it comes into contact with the talus is what we call the sustentaculum tali. So it'll fit right there with the talus. And this long protrusion of the calcaneus is called the tuber calcanei. And because the calcaneus is lateral, it will be above the fourth tarsal bone.
We're missing pieces, but this is pretty much what we've got.
The gap is 1, what's 2?
2 is the little one.
And then 3 is, I'm guessing,
3 is that one.
And then 4,
and then
okay,
4
so
is the big one.
Around laterally,
Well,
medial to lateral, so it would be like 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, and then this one is central.
This one right here is central, yes.
Okay.
So is that you have the tarsal bone 1 is missing, tarsal bone 2 is missing, tarsal bone 3, tarsal bone 4.
And the central
Central would be on top of these, in between the talus and the rest. And then these are your metacarpals, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, sorry. And then 1 is often missing because that's your dew claw. And then the digit is going to be exactly the same as before. Sorry, that'll be better to do that like that. So this is the proximal, middle, distal, phalanx. And then that's a better view, yeah. Proximal, middle, distal.
And what is this?
The extensor process, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then the flexor, one of them's, so I think it's the flexor process, so that's the flexor process, and then the extensor tubercle or something like that. I'll have to check on those.
Yeah, this is the ungual process, and this is the ungual crest.
Yeah.